The monitors flickered in the darkness of Sangwoo Seojun's office, each screen a window into his son's failing life. 27 caretakers had walked through that door. 27 had left in body bags, ambulances, or police custody. Some poisoned his son deliberately. Others were simply incompetent. One had tried to kidnap Juwon for ransom. Her body was never found. Sangwoo's fingers drummed against the mahogany desk, his jaw clenched as he watched the newest caretaker enter Juwon's sterile room. Destiny Stone. American. Black. No family ties in Korea. No connections to rival families. The background check had been thorough, almost too clean, which made him suspicious. But desperation had a way of lowering standards, even for a man who controlled half of Seoul's underground. Through the hidden cameras, he watched her approach his son's bed. Juwon lay motionless, his small chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. The boy was 6 years old and looked 4, his skin pale as paper, dark circles carved beneath his eyes like bruises. The prescribed formula sat on the bedside table in its sterile bottle, the same medication that was supposed to help him, but somehow made him weaker each day. Destiny picked up the bottle, examined it, then unscrewed the cap and smelled it. Sangwoo leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. She set the bottle down, then did something that made his blood run cold. She walked to the bathroom and poured the entire contents down the sink. His hand slammed on the desk. "What the hell?" Before he could reach for the intercom, she returned to Juwon's bedside and gently lifted the boy's wrist, checking his pulse with a stopwatch she'd pulled from her pocket. Professional. Methodical. Fearless. Sangwoo was already moving. His feet carried him through the mansion's corridors with lethal purpose, his men scrambling to keep up. No one touched his son's medication without permission. No one. He burst through the door. Destiny didn't flinch. She didn't even turn around. "You just signed your death warrant," Sangwoo said in perfect English, his voice deadly quiet. She finally looked at him, her dark eyes meeting his without a trace of fear. "That formula is poisoned. Arsenic, if I had to guess, mixed with something to mask the taste. Your son isn't sick. He's being murdered slowly." The room fell silent except for Juwon's labored breathing. "You have 30 seconds to convince me not to put a bullet in your head." Destiny stood, pulling a small vial from her apron pocket. "I kept a sample. Test it yourself. But while you're wasting time threatening me, your son is dying. His liver is failing. His kidneys are shutting down. He has maybe 72 hours left if we don't flush the toxins and start aggressive treatment." Sangwoo's hand hovered near his concealed weapon. Every instinct screamed trap. But something in her voice, in the absolute certainty of her words, made him hesitate. "How do I know you didn't poison him? Yourself? You could be working for who?" She stepped closer, fearless, reckless. "The Yakuza? The Triads? Your rival families? If I wanted him dead, I'd just let the formula keep doing its job." She thrust the vial toward him. "Test it. Call your doctor. But do it now, because in 3 hours I need to start chelation therapy or your son dies. And if he dies, you can shoot me then." Sangwoo stared at this woman who'd just dumped out medication worth thousands, accused his own circle of murder, and challenged him to his face, all within her first hour of employment. He snatched the vial from her hand and pulled out his phone, barking orders in Korean to his personal physician. As he waited for the callback, he watched Destiny return to Juwon's side, placing a cool cloth on the boy's forehead with a gentleness that made something crack in his chest. His phone buzzed. The doctor's voice was tight with urgency. "Sir, preliminary tests confirm traces of arsenic trioxide. We need to act immediately. Before we reveal who's really behind the poisoning, let us know in the comments. Who do you suspect? If this dangerous game of trust and betrayal has you on the edge of your seat, show some love with a like, subscribe for the next chapter, and ring that bell. Things are about to get even darker." Sangwoo ended the call, his eyes locked on Destiny. She'd just saved his son's life by defying his direct orders, or she'd just set an elaborate trap. "Start your treatment," he said coldly. "But understand this, if my son dies, you die. And it won't be quick." Destiny met his gaze with an intensity that matched his own. "If your son dies, we both lose. Now get out of my way and let me work." As Sangwoo retreated to his monitoring station, one question burned in his mind. Who was trying to kill his son from the inside, and how far up did the betrayal reach? Destiny worked through the night like a woman possessed, her hands moving with practiced precision as she administered the chelation therapy. Sangwoo had ordered his guards to station themselves outside the door. Insurance, he'd said, though they both knew it was a death sentence waiting to be executed. By dawn, Juwon's color had improved from corpse gray to merely pale. Small victory, but Destiny would take it. "You need to open these curtains," she said without looking up, knowing Sangwoo was watching through the cameras. "Sunlight, fresh air. This room is a tomb." The intercom crackled. "The protocols exist for a reason. My son is immunocompromised. Your son is depressed." Destiny finally looked directly at the camera, her eyes blazing. "He's been isolated in this sterile prison for months. No wonder his body's giving up. His spirit already has." Silence. Then, "You overstep. I'm doing my job. Unless you hired me just to watch him die slowly in a prettier prison." She moved to the windows before he could respond, throwing open the heavy blackout curtains. Sunlight flooded the room for the first time in God knew how long. Juwon stirred, his small hand moving toward his face to block the light. It was the first voluntary movement Sangwoo had seen his son make in weeks. The intercom stayed silent. Destiny returned to Juwon's bedside, gently brushing the hair from his forehead. "Hey, sweetheart," she whispered. "I know you're tired. I know everything hurts. But I need you to fight a little longer, okay?" Through the monitors, Sangwoo watched as his son's eyes fluttered open for the first time in 3 days. The boy looked at Destiny with confusion, then fear, then something else. Curiosity, maybe. Hope. "Who?" Juwon's voice was barely audible. "I'm Destiny. I'm here to make you feel better." She smiled, and Sangwoo felt something twist in his chest at the genuine warmth in it. "You like stories?" Juwon managed the smallest nod. "Good. Because I know some great ones." By the 3rd day, Sangwoo's office had become his prison. He couldn't look away from the screens, watching as Destiny systematically dismantled every protocol he'd put in place. She brought in plants. "For oxygen and life," she'd said when his men tried to stop her. She played music, soft jazz that somehow made the clinical room feel less like a hospital. She talked to Juwon constantly, telling him stories about a little boy who could fly, about dragons that protected children, about brave warriors who never gave up. And Juwon was responding. Actually responding. He'd smiled yesterday. Actually smiled. Sangwoo had nearly dropped his glass of whiskey. "Sir." His second-in-command, Min-sok, stood in the doorway. The test results came back on all 27 previous caretakers. 3 had access to the formula. 2 are already dead. Killed in accidents last month. The 3rd. Who? Dr. Han's niece. She worked here for 2 weeks in August. Sangwoo's blood turned to ice. Dr. Han. His personal physician. The man he'd trusted with his son's life. The man who'd prescribed the formula. Where is she now? Disappeared. But sir, there's more. Dr. Han received a wire transfer of 2 million won the day after she left. Untraceable account. Sangwoo's fist crashed into the desk. Find him. Alive. I want to know who paid him. As Min-sok left, the intercom in Juwon's room crackled. Destiny's voice came through, but she wasn't talking to Sangwoo. "Juwon, sweetie, I need to step out for just 5 minutes. I'm going to get you some real food, okay? Not that garbage they've been feeding you. Sangwoo hit the intercom button. You don't leave him alone. Then send someone to the kitchen who knows how to make chicken soup that doesn't taste like cardboard. The nutritionist approved his current meal plan. The nutritionist is an idiot. Or worse. Destiny moved closer to the camera, her voice dropping to a deadly whisper. You want to know what I found when I analyzed his approved meals? Traces of the same poison in the formula. Someone's been dosing every single thing that enters his mouth. The room spun. Every meal, every drink, every medication for months. I'm preparing his food from now on, Destiny continued. I buy the ingredients myself. I cook it myself. No one else touches it. And if you have a problem with that, you can shoot me right now, because I'm not watching this child die while you hide in your office playing crime boss. Sangwoo's hand trembled on the intercom button. She was right. He'd been so focused on external threats, on rival families and business enemies, that he'd missed the rot within his own household. His own people were killing his son, and he'd been too blind to see it. Do it, he said finally. But Stone. What? If you're lying to me, if this is an elaborate con, I will make you beg for death. Noted. Now get Dr. Han before he runs, because whoever paid him isn't done yet. Sangwoo ended the call and reached for his phone, but before he could dial, every screen in his office went black. The monitors, the security feeds, everything. Then his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. A distorted voice spoke in Korean. The American knows too much. Kill her by midnight or your son dies. We're already inside. The line went dead. Sangwoo ran. Sangwoo burst through Juwon's door with his weapon drawn, his heart hammering against his ribs. The room was empty. The bed was empty. His son was gone. No. We're in the bathroom. Destiny's voice came from behind the closed door, calm as still water. Juwon's taking his first real bath in weeks. The door's locked. We're fine. Sangwoo's exhale came out shaky, his finger easing off the trigger. Someone just threatened to kill you both. We need to move now. Then you better figure out who in your organization just cut the security feeds, because I'm not moving this child until he's clean, dressed, and stable enough to travel. The audacity of this woman. Stone. Give me 10 minutes. And Sangwoo? Her voice dropped. Whoever called you wanted you to panic, wanted you to make a mistake. Don't give them the satisfaction. She was right. Again. Sangwoo forced his breathing to steady, his tactical mind overriding his terror. He keyed his radio. Minsok. Full lockdown. No one in or out. Find who killed the feeds. Through the bathroom door, he could hear Juwon's weak voice asking Destiny something, and her gentle response. The normalcy of it. A child taking a bath, a caretaker humming softly, felt obscene in this moment of crisis. 5 minutes later, the door opened. Destiny emerged carrying Juwon wrapped in a towel, the boy's head resting against her shoulder. He looked fragile as glass, but his eyes were open and alert. Appa! Juwon's voice cracked. Father. Sangwoo's weapon clattered to the floor. He hadn't heard his son call him that in months. I'm here. Ms. Destiny says someone's been making me sick on purpose. The boy's eyes filled with tears. Why would someone do that? Sangwoo moved closer, his hand hovering near his son's face, afraid to touch him as if he might break. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Sir. Minsuk appeared in the doorway, his face grim. The security room. You need to see this. They moved as a unit, Sangwoo, Destiny carrying Juwon, and 4 armed guards. The security room was chaos. Blood splattered across the monitors. 2 of Sangwoo's men lay dead, throats cut with surgical precision. And on the main screen, written in blood, the son pays for the father's sins. Destiny turned Juwon's face into her shoulder, shielding his eyes. Get us somewhere safe, now. Sangwoo's mind raced. This wasn't about money or territory. This was personal. Revenge. How long has the poison been in his system? Based on his symptoms and organ damage? At least 4 months? Maybe longer. Destiny's eyes met his. Someone's been patient, methodical. This wasn't a hired hit. This is someone who wanted to watch you suffer. 4 months ago. What had happened 4 months ago? Sangwoo mentally scrolled through his operations, his enemies, his... Oh God. The Choi family. His voice came out hollow. I eliminated their leadership 4 months ago. All of them. But the youngest son, Choi Yejun, he was studying medicine in America. He wasn't in the country. Medical student? Destiny's face went pale. Which means he'd know exactly how to poison someone slowly. Where is he now? I don't know. We've been trying to locate him for months. Sangwoo grabbed his radio. Minsuk, pull up everything we have on Choi Yejun. Education, contacts, aliases. Sir, we already found him. Minsuk's voice cracked with something between fear and disbelief. He's been here the whole time. Dr. Han's nephew who started working in the kitchen 3 months ago. Real name, Lee Junho. But we just ran facial recognition. The screen flickered to life, showing security footage from the mansion's kitchen. A young man in chef's whites, his face partially obscured by a surgical mask, preparing meals with meticulous care. Then footage from earlier that day. The same man, entering through a service entrance, his face finally clear. Choi Yejun smiled at the camera as if he'd been waiting for this moment. As if he wanted them to know. He's still in the building, Minsuk said. We've got the mansion locked down, but sir, he's not trying to run. It's like he wants to be found. Sangwoo's blood turned to ice as understanding crashed over him. It's not about escape. He's been preparing for this moment. He looked at Destiny, then at his son. The poison in Juwon's system. How long until it's completely out? 2 more days of treatment, maybe 3. We don't have that long. Sangwoo grabbed Juwon from her arms, the boy whimpering at the sudden movement. He's not trying to kill Juwon quickly. He wants me to watch him die slowly, the same way I killed his family. Which means... The lights went out. Emergency red lighting kicked in, bathing everything in blood-colored shadows. Then, over the mansion's PA system, a voice spoke in Korean. Young, calm, utterly devoid of emotion. Hello, Mr. Seojun. We finally meet properly. Your son has approximately 48 hours before the cumulative poison damage becomes irreversible. The antidote exists. I created it myself. But you'll have to find me first. A pause. Then. Oh, and one more thing. I've just released sarin gas into the mansion's ventilation system. It should reach your current location in approximately 3 minutes. The clock is ticking. Choose wisely. Chase me or save everyone in this building. The PA clicked off. Destiny grabbed Sangwoo's arm, her eyes wide with terror. Sarin gas. We need to evacuate. He's bluffing. He has to be. Then someone screamed in a distant corridor. Then another. And another. Gas masks. Now! Sangwoo's voice cut through the chaos as his men scrambled. The screaming was getting closer, accompanied by the sound of bodies hitting the floor. Destiny snatched Juwon from his arms. Sarin gas is heavier than air. We need to go up, not out. The roof access is exactly where he expects us to go. Destiny was already moving toward the kitchen, her arms locked around Juwon. The walk-in freezer, sealed door, separate ventilation. We can buy time. Sangwoo grabbed 2 masks from his guard's belt and followed her, his mind calculating. Choi Yejun had planned this perfectly. Evacuation meant abandoning the search for the antidote. Staying meant death. Either way, Juwon died. Unless they could do both. They burst into the kitchen. Bodies everywhere. Staff collapsed mid-task, foam bubbling from their mouths. Destiny didn't slow down, didn't look, just ran straight for the massive steel freezer door. She yanked it open, stumbled inside with Juwon, and Sangwoo slammed it shut behind them. The temperature plummeted instantly. Destiny was already stripping off her cardigan to wrap around Juwon, who was shaking violently, from cold, from fear, from the poison still eating away at his small body. "He can't stay in here long," Destiny said, her breath fogging. "His core temperature will drop too fast in his condition." Sangwoo shut his jacket and wrapped it around them both. "Min-sok." He spoke into his radio, praying it still worked through the steel. "Status. Static." Then, 23 dead. Gases concentrated on floors 1 and 2. "We've sealed the 3rd floor. Sir, we found Choi's staging area in the basement. He's been living here for months. There are blueprints, schedules, photographs. The antidote. Did you find it?" "Negative. But sir, there's something else. He's been documenting everything. Video diaries, the last entry. He says the antidote is in the one place you'd never look, where your greatest shame lives." Sangwoo's blood froze. Not from the cold. His greatest shame. "I know where it is," he whispered. Destiny looked at him sharply. "Where?" "The West Wing. My wife's room. I sealed it after she died giving birth to Juwon. No one's been inside in 6 years. Then we go now. You stay here. Keep Juwon alive. I'll bring back the antidote." "You're not going alone into a trap." "That's exactly what I'm doing." Sangwoo checked his weapon, his jaw set. "He wants me to suffer. Wants me to face what I've been running from. The room where my wife died is where he's hidden my son's salvation. It's poetic. It's revenge." Destiny grabbed his arm, her fingers like ice. "What if you're wrong? What if he's already there waiting? Then you find another way out and you run. Take Juwon as far from here as possible. I'm not leaving you. You barely know me. I know you love your son. I know you're trying." Her eyes blazed even in the dim freezer light. "And I know that child out there deserves a father who comes back." Something cracked in Sangwoo's chest. He'd built his empire on violence and fear, had become a monster to protect what was his. But this woman, this stranger, saw something in him worth saving. He didn't deserve it. He kissed Juwon's forehead, the first time he'd done so in months. "I'll come back." Then he was gone, the freezer door sealing shut behind him. The mansion was a tomb. Bodies littered the hallways, good men and traitors alike, the gas making no distinction. Sangwoo moved through the carnage with his mask secure, his weapon ready, his heart hammering a rhythm that sounded like his son's name. Juwon. 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 The West Wing loomed ahead. Untouched. Pristine. He hadn't been here since the funeral. Couldn't bear to see the room where Myung had bled out, screaming for a child she'd never hold, cursing Sangwoo with her last breath for putting his empire before her safety. "I should have protected you better," he whispered to her ghost as he reached for the door handle. It was unlocked. He pushed it open. The room was exactly as he'd left it. Myung's clothes still in the closet. Her books on the nightstand. Her blood still staining the sheets he couldn't bring himself to change. And sitting in the chair beside the deathbed, wearing a surgeon's mask and holding a syringe filled with clear liquid, was Choi Ye-jun. "Welcome home, Mr. Seojun." The young man's voice was pleasant, conversational. "I've been waiting. Please, close the door. We have so much to discuss." Sangwoo raised his weapon. "Give me the antidote." "In a moment. First, I want you to understand something." Choi gestured to the blood-stained bed. "Your wife died here, alone, because you chose business over her safety. You were closing a deal in Busan while she hemorrhaged. My family died the same way, bleeding out while you stood over them, choosing power over mercy. Your family were murderers. They killed 17 innocent people. And you've killed hundreds, thousands maybe." Choi stood, the syringe gleaming. But I'm not here to debate morality. I'm here to give you a choice. The same choice you gave my father before you put a bullet in his head. He held up the syringe. This is the antidote. Enough for one person. Your son has maybe 6 hours left. But here's the beautiful part. He pulled out a second syringe from his pocket, this one filled with amber liquid. This is the poison, concentrated, fatal in minutes. Sangwoo's finger tensed on the trigger. You can shoot me right now, Choi continued, but my hand will spasm and I'll drop both syringes. The antidote will shatter. Or, he smiled, you can make a deal. Like the deals you're so famous for. What deal? Your life for your son's. You inject yourself with the concentrated poison. You die here, in this room, where your wife died. And I give Destiny the antidote for Juwon. Sangwoo's world tilted. How do I know you'll keep your word? You don't. But what choice do you have? Through the radio, Destiny's desperate voice crackled. Sangwoo, Juwon's crashing. His heart rate is dropping. We're out of time. Choi held out the poison syringe. Tick-tock, Mr. Seojun. Your son is dying. What's it going to be? Sangwoo's hand didn't waver as he pointed the gun at Choi's head. There's a third option you didn't consider. Oh? Choi's smile never faltered. And what's that? I trust her. He fired. The bullet caught Choi in the shoulder, spinning him backward. Both syringes flew from his hands, one shattering against the wall, the other rolling across the floor toward the blood-stained bed. Sangwoo dove for it, his fingers closing around the intact syringe just as Choi lunged at him with a hidden blade. The knife sliced across Sangwoo's ribs, hot blood spreading across his shirt, but he rolled away, clutching the antidote. You fool! Choi screamed, pressing his wounded shoulder. You don't even know which one that is. I could have lied. It could be the poison. Sangwoo stared at the amber liquid in the syringe. Choi was right. He had no way of knowing. Through the radio. Sangwoo, please. He's not breathing right. Please. Destiny's voice broke something open inside him. She'd trusted him from the beginning, even when it made no sense. Even when it could have gotten her killed. She'd put her life in his hands a dozen times over. Now it was his turn. Min-seok! Sangwoo barked into the radio as he ran from the room, leaving Choi bleeding on the floor. Seal the west wing, don't let him move. He sprinted through the gas-filled corridors, his lungs burning even through the mask, his side screaming where the blade had cut deep. Every step felt like running through water, but Destiny's voice kept pulling him forward. The freezer door burst open. Destiny had Juwon on the ground, her hands pumping his small chest in desperate CPR. The boy's lips were blue, his eyes rolled back. No pulse, she gasped. Sangwoo, He dropped to his knees beside them, holding up the syringe with shaking hands. I don't know if this is the antidote or the poison. Destiny stared at him, at the amber, liquid, at her dying patient. What? Both syringes fell. One broke. This is all we have. His voice cracked. I don't know which one Choi was holding. For 3 heartbeats the world stopped. Destiny's hands froze in mid-compression. Sangwoo's finger on the plunger. Juwon's body still as death between them. Then Destiny grabbed the syringe from him. The antidote would be amber. Poison would be clear to hide in drinks. She held it up to the dim light, examining the viscosity, the way it moved. This is thicker, more syrupy, medical grade. Her eyes met his. I think this is it. You think? I trust my training. Do you trust me? Sangwoo looked at his son's gray face, then at this woman who'd fought for a child that wasn't hers, who'd stood against a mafia boss, who'd risked everything for the slim chance of saving one small life. Yes. Destiny plunged the needle into Juwon's chest, directly into his heart, and pushed the plunger. Then they waited. 10 seconds. 20. 30. Nothing. Destiny resumed compressions, her voice breaking with each pump. Come on, baby, come on! Don't you leave me! Don't you dare! Juwon gasped. His eyes flew open, his small body convulsing as he sucked in air like a drowning man breaking the surface. Color flooded back into his cheeks. Not healthy? Not yet. But alive. Breathing. Fighting. Destiny collapsed backward, sobbing. Sangwoo pulled his son into his arms, feeling the weak but steady heartbeat against his chest, and something inside him that had been frozen for 6 years finally thawed. "You saved him," he whispered. "You actually saved him." Destiny wiped her eyes, laughing through tears. "We saved him. Both of us." 3 weeks later, the mansion had been scrubbed clean of death, though the memories lingered in every corridor. Choi Ye-jun was in a maximum security cell, kept alive only because Sangwoo needed to ensure there were no other conspirators, no other poison threads waiting to be pulled. Juwon sat in the garden, the real garden, not viewed through cameras, throwing bread to the koi pond while Destiny watched from a bench nearby. His color was better. His laugh was returning. He'd called Sangwoo Appa every day for a week straight. Sangwoo stood in the doorway, watching them, his son and the woman who'd refused to let him die. He walked over, 2 envelopes in his hand. "We need to talk." Destiny tensed. "If this is about me leaving, it's about you staying." He handed her the first envelope. "Your contract as Juwon's caretaker. Double the salary. Full benefits. Complete autonomy over his care." She opened it, scanning the terms, then looked up suspiciously. "What's the catch?" He handed her the second envelope. "No catch. Just options." This envelope was thicker. She pulled out the papers inside. Adoption papers, with her name listed as Juwon's legal guardian alongside Sangwoo's. Her hands started shaking. "I'm not asking you to be his mother," Sangwoo said quietly. "Myung will always be that. But I'm asking you to be his family, to stay, to help me be the father he deserves." Tears tracked down Destiny's face. "You barely know me. I know you're brave. I know you're stubborn. I know you see my son as a person, not a pawn." He knelt beside the bench, meeting her eyes. "I know I trust you with the only thing in this world that matters to me. Isn't that enough?" Juwon ran over, grabbing both their hands. "Ms. Destiny, are you going to live with us forever?" Destiny looked at this child who'd somehow stolen her heart, then at the broken man who was trying so hard to put himself back together. She thought about running, about going back to America, about a life without mafia surveillance and poison and constant danger. Then she thought about never seeing Juwon smile again, never challenging Sangwoo's stubborn orders, never being part of this strange, wounded family that was trying to heal. "Yeah, sweetheart," she whispered, pulling Juwon into her lap. "I think I am." Sangwoo's hand covered hers on the papers, not possessive, not demanding, just grateful. For the first time in 6 years, the mansion felt like it might someday be a home. That night, after Juwon was asleep, Destiny found Sangwoo in his office, staring at the monitors again, but this time they showed an empty room with open curtains and sunlight streaming in. "Can't break the habit?" she asked from the doorway. "I'm not watching for threats anymore." He turned to her. "I'm watching to remember what we almost lost." She moved into the room, her arms crossed. "You know this doesn't change what you are, what you do, the people you've hurt." "I know. I'm not asking you to leave the Mafia. I'm not naive enough to think you would. I know that too. But if you ever put Juwon at risk again, if you ever choose power over his safety," her eyes were hard as diamonds, "I will take him and disappear, and you'll never find us, Mafia boss or not." Sangwoo stood walking until they were inches apart. "I believe you." They stood like that, 2 warriors who'd fought side by side, neither quite sure what came next. Then Sangwoo's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and went pale. "No, not possible." "What?" What is it? He answered on speaker. A familiar voice spoke. Young, calm, utterly devoid of emotion. Did you really think, Choi Ye-jun said pleasantly, that I'd keep all my secrets in one place? The antidote you gave Juwon was real, but it was temporary. A patch, not a cure. The real antidote is somewhere you'll never find it. And the poison? It's already starting to work again. Your son has 6 months, maybe less. The line went dead. Destiny and Sangwoo stared at each other in horror as upstairs, in his sunlit room, Juwon coughed once in his sleep. Then twice. Then didn't stop.